And some side lanes will bring you over to Trastevere. It's just a few blocks away from Via Giubanari. And this is a different part of the city altogether. We're going to spend some time now in Trastevere, starting at the Palazzo Farnesina. Farnesina. This is a famous little museum, although it's kind of out of the way location, so you might never get there, but here it is. This is what you could expect to see if you get to the Palazzo Farnesina. There's nice gardens and fountain out front, and quite an impressive structure. It had been a private palace of one of the nobles back in the days of the Renaissance. And inside you'll find highly decorated rooms. And there's a famous painting in here by Raphael, and the rest of the ceiling murals are inspired by the works of Raphael and by the school of Raphael. And there's a lot of illusionistic architecture painted on the walls. It looks as if you're looking through windows, through arches, but it's all trompe-l'oeil, trick the eye, painted onto that flat wall. Beautifully detailed ceiling murals. And here's Raphael's masterpiece. He only did this one panel in the palace. He did not design the palace or paint any of the other works, but that one panel alone is a really impressive work by Raphael. And there's 2 floors. You go upstairs and you'll see even more. There's a wall mural here that's one of the truly great paintings of the Italian Renaissance by Sodoma, and it's called Nozze di Alessandro e Roxanne. It's just a stupendous work of art. In the midst of this Villa Farnesina, the palace was originally built for one of the great Italian banking families, the Chigi family, back in the early 16th century, and they hired Raphael and especially Peruzzi to come in and paint these wall frescoes. Peruzzi is a master of illusion and 3 dimensions and the trompe-l'oeil, and there's these amazing coffered gilded ceilings along with the other beautiful architectural details in Villa Farnesina. It's just across the Tiber River. You can get there in a 20-minute walk from the heart of the historic district of the city, and it's really worth your while if you'd like to explore some of these little offbeat neighborhoods. And then continuing to Trastevere through the back door, through this gateway, part of the ancient wall of the city, we're going to show you some slices of life in a pizzeria and some other places here in Trastevere. It's a quiet place. We're gotten away from the tourist center now. You don't have fancy clothing shops and boutiques over here, but you do have nice architecture and a quiet pace of life. They even have small electric buses that go down these narrow alleyways and provide very good transportation for the local residents. You can ride on. It costs you about $1.50 for a bus ticket. You can buy those at any newsstand, tobacco stand. Into this pizzeria. Now look at how they serve pizza in Italy. This is very typical. Oh, there's so many varieties. It's so delicious. And you tell her how big a slice you want. And the price is based on the size of the slice. See, you want a medium slice, a small slice. So not only do they sell it by the slice, but basically by the gram, by weight. So you can get exactly as much or as little as you like. And you'll probably want a lot. You'll probably want to have 2 or 3 different slices, enjoy a variety of toppings here. And the pizza is already made. It's been made fresh and it's sitting there waiting for you. You can take it out if you like, or you can eat right here at the pizzeria. They've got outdoor tables, they've got indoor tables. And if you're eating it there, they can heat it up for you if you want, or just eat it room temperature. It's very tasty that way too. And not expensive. This is the classic lunch of the city. And you can sit and enjoy the sights as you're enjoying your pizza. Here we just happened to catch a little wedding parade going by.
Bella, bella.
And notice this street. We're going to bring you back here in a little while at night. And this cat doesn't seem to care about anything, taking his all-day long siesta. At nighttime, this neighborhood also is quite lively, quite busy. And we ran into something that was most unusual. We'll show you a little bit later in the program. Piazza Trilussa, this is one of the focal points of Trastevere. It's a weekend evening. We're just out for a stroll along with all these locals. It's a little early for dinner yet, so people are just walking. It's the passeggiata. There's lots of these hole-in-the-wall restaurants. This one, Mario's, is still pretty empty at this hour. It's about 6:30. Too early for dinner yet. This is time for just strolling, eyeballing some restaurant choices. Check out this bakery. Fresh baked breads and rolls. Check out some of the different little piazzas. We're getting into the back streets of Trastevere now. Piazza di Renzi. Yeah, it's got a few restaurants around it, and it's not a terribly scenic or exciting piazza. It's kind of like a parking lot, but this is a slice of real life in the city, and these cute alleys leading off from it. Trastevere is really a small neighborhood. You can walk through most of it in an hour, maybe 2 hours at most. Typical on the summer weekend nights. They've got something going on in the piazzas. Crafts festival. It's always nice to purchase an item from the artist who made it. And you might run into evening's entertainment, as we did, and dancers. It's just a typical summer weekend in Rome. There's often this festive atmosphere in the piazzas, and they've got the artists and the crafts people out here with the stage entertainment and food galore, always all around you here in Rome.
That's why I go for that rock and roll music. Any old way you choose it. It's got a backbeat, you can't lose it. Any old time you use it.
We're in the Piazza Santa Maria in Trastevere. There's an ancient church on the piazza. It dates back to the Middle Ages. And there's a mass that's going to be starting shortly in the church, so they're starting up some music here as well. Those mosaics date back to the 13th century. This church is built in the ancient basilica style that harkens back to the days of ancient Rome. And the early churches simply adopted that Roman-style architecture. It's believed this church was first built in the 8th century, and then it was rebuilt in later centuries. We're looking at a 12th century building now. Jumping back out to the piazza and to the modern world. We'll be wandering a little bit more here in the lanes of Trastevere and looking at some local rituals. We'll take you over to Campo dei Fiori and into a couple more little churches, show you some of the important artworks of the city, play some music for you, look at a jazz concert in the evening in a different piazza, and just generally look at some of the more typical scenes of Rome that get you away from the tourist center, get you away from the museums and the palaces and the historic highlights, and into more of a local scene, such as this procession that we saw coming out of a church. It's a Catholic feast of San Antonio, and the band comes marching by, playing their tune. The parishioners are out with their banners, with the priests, and with the statue of San Antonio. And as we're watching this, if you'd like to give us a call at Hawaii Geographic Society, we'd be happy to send you out some information about our trips and activities. We photograph our trips and bring them back to you as programs on World Traveler. And we travel all over the place. We have trips to Canada, Europe, South America, the USA East Coast. Here comes San Antonio, carried aloft by his bearers who are working hard to bring the saint into the piazza. They're heading for Piazza Trilussa. right on the edge of Trastevere.
Evviva Sant'Antonio! Evviva Sant'Antonio!
So if you give us a call, we'll send you out some information about our trips and activities, and we'd be happy to keep you informed about the different activities of Hawaii Geographic Society. Or you could send us an email if you like, as we continue watching this Catholic ritual on the feast day of San Antonio in Rome. And later in the program, we're bringing you on to Florence and to Venice. As we leave the phone number up on the screen here for another minute, feel free to give us a call and we'll be happy to send you out the brochure about our Hawaii Geographic Society. You're watching World Traveler, photographed by Hawaii Geographic. And we take various trips. We have a Canada train tour coming up. We're going to start in Vancouver, Canada on the west coast and spend a few days there. Go over to Banff and Jasper in the Rocky Mountains by train. Spend about 4 days in that area. And then we're going to cross the continent all the way over to Toronto and then on to Montreal and Quebec City. That should be quite exciting. And we also have train tours of Central Europe, of Scandinavia, of the south of Europe through the Riviera along from Spain and south of France over to Italy and elsewhere in Europe as well. South America, we're looking at New Zealand and Australia as well. In New Zealand, we'll take the train from Auckland all the way on down to Christchurch and fly over to Sydney. San Antonio returned to his church, and just when you thought it was all over, he's brought back again out into the streets for another rousing round of cheers. The band plays on, the people are hanging around. It's a great social event for the parishioners and other hangers-on here. We're right in the heart of Trastevere. This is that same neighborhood that we were having some pizza in earlier in the program, after visiting the Villa Farnesina. And there it is, the pizzeria is still open at night. All day long, a great place for a meal. You can have lunch or a snack or even dinner here. One of these electric buses coming through the neighborhood in these narrow lanes. And the band marches away. We must be winding down here with this long ceremony. Ah, yes, it's finally over. Crossing back across the Tiber River now as evening settles in. In the month of June, it doesn't get dark until about 10 or 10:30 in the evening. So that's a nice advantage of traveling in Europe in June. And also you'll run into some more entertainment in the piazzas of the city. We're now in the Piazza Farnese, catching a little bit of a jazz action. And just one block over from Piazza Farnese, you'll come back to the Campo dei Fiori. And even at night, there are places you can eat at Campo dei Fiori. This is a simple spot. It's a nice sandwich shop. You can select your own fillings and build your own sandwich. They'll toast it up for you if you like. There are some nights when you just don't want to have a big dinner, and a simple sandwich will do.